Today we're going to talk about Outriders, a brand new looter shooter coming out April 1st. Now I will admit, I think fans of looter shooters have every right to be wary. Destiny, The Division, Anthem, all these games had their fair share of letdowns and shortcomings. With another looter coming soon, it's only natural to be skeptical. However, in this video, I'm going to share information with you that will give you a much better indication of what kind of game Outriders actually is. Now, I was asked to be a part of the Outriders Ambassador program, so I'll be able to play the game before it comes out, among some other things, I think. Essentially, I can talk to developers on Discord if I want to, and they sent me a t-shirt. Especially if you're new here, I get it may be hard to trust random people on the internet. However, Square Enix did not ask me to make this video. I'm doing it without their knowledge, completely because I want to. Many of you know I was flown out for Anthem years ago, and despite the love and affection EA showed me through an endless amount of tiny sandwiches, I still remained faithful to you guys by being very critical of the game. So while I'm hopeful for Outriders and rooting for it to do well, I promise to give you an honest review once it releases. If you're someone who wants to wait and see the reviews before making that purchase, feel free to stick around here by subscribing and I will let you know if the game is worth buying once the time comes. Plus, you'll be able to play a beta version of the game for yourself on February 25th. Admittedly, I didn't know a whole lot about Outriders until a few weeks ago. I was actually asked to be in the Ambassador program before hearing of the game. While there's certainly a growing buzz, I don't feel like there's a level of hype and anticipation equivalent to the likes of Destiny and Anthem before they came out. And while that's fine, I feel like there's a decent level of misunderstanding over what Outriders exactly is. Luckily for you, that's gonna end today because I'm going to tell you everything you need to know about Outriders. And as always, timestamps will be provided in the description if you want to see anything in particular. Also, thank you guys for the support on my last few videos. I left a poll in the community tab regarding potentially streaming Outriders, and I'd really appreciate hearing your input on it. We're gonna start out with your character and the story of Outriders. After you create your character, which you can change the look of at any point throughout the game, you'll have to pick between 4 classes. The classes to choose from in Outriders are the Pyromancer, the Trickster, the Techromancer, and the Devastator. All classes in Outriders cater towards a particular style of gameplay. For example, the Pyromancer is more of your all-around mid-range class. The Pyromancer can do things like throw bombs, life drain enemies, and of course, light things on fire. He even has a fire beam of sorts that will set things ablaze, much like those spicy wings will... I'll just stop right there. The Trickster is a lightweight and agile class that focuses on melee, but has the added abilities of laying traps, slowing down time, and teleporting across the map. What the Trickster lacks in health, it gains in speed. A perfect class for all you G Fuel enthusiasts out there. The Technomancer is more of your long-range support class who's going to supply ammunition, weapons, and is the only class that can heal through a skill. The dude can literally spawn Gatling guns out of thin air. And by the way, I'll explain how healing works in Outriders a bit later. Finally, the Devastator is the heavy, tankier character. He's going to focus on things like melee attacks and defense, while also manipulating the ground with his cool rock powers. The Devastator can do things such as coat himself with armor, stop bullets midair like he's a Titan from Titanfall, and shoulder charge into the fight much like another kind of Titan we all know and just love to get hit by. Interestingly enough, all characters in Outriders heal differently. You won't recover health by sitting behind cover or using some sort of resource. This was done to try and make players play more aggressively, and we'll see how it goes. The Pyromancer heals when a marked enemy is killed. Enemies are marked when they become damaged by a skill. The Trickster recovers health when a nearby enemy dies, and this also extends the duration of their shield. The Technomancer, as mentioned before, has a health recovery skill, but also heals whenever they deal damage. Seemed pretty easy there. And finally, the Devastator also heals when enemies nearby pass on to the afterlife. All classes in Outriders have 8 skills that are unlocked throughout the game, and you can use 3 of them at a time, which you can see at the bottom center of the HUD. Different skills are going to do different things. Some are for offense and others are for defense. It's all just about your play style and the way you want to approach different encounters. And one thing that's great in pretty much all looter shooters is the story. And by great, I mean on a scale of tolerable to non-existent. Yeah, they suck. Unlike other games in the genre, Outriders isn't a live service game, meaning no microtransactions, and as of right now, no plans to drag the game's content out over the next 5 to 10 years. There will probably be a DLC made for this game in the future, especially if it does well, but Outriders is meant to be a complete experience and package on day one. You won't buy the game and get an advertisement for some sort of season pass. With that being said, Outriders promises a much larger narrative in its campaign, side quests, and endgame. This is a game you can play from start to finish, unlike Destiny, The Division, and Anthem, and you can play through this content either by yourself or with a few amigos. The premise of Outriders' story is rather simple. Humanity left Earth to colonize an alien planet named Enoch, and things didn't turn out as planned. A massive energy storm named the Anomaly granted both Enoch's inhabitants and the colonists superpowers. So now you're an Outrider, not to be confused with me in high school, an outsider. And it's time to shoot some aliens in the face. Outriders' narrative stretches into different zones across the map. To my knowledge, this is mostly non-linear, as you can travel to different sections whenever you want. At these towns, you'll talk to various NPCs that will give you quests, bounties, hunts, things like that. There are also many things to do off the beaten path that players can totally miss apparently, so keep your eyes open for that hidden loot. The world of Outriders is balanced through a world tier system. If you played The Division, you might kind of know what this is, but if I'm thinking back correctly, the system here works slightly different than it did in that game, I think. Essentially, as you level up by getting gear, earning XP, and completing quests, your world tier will increase. The higher the world tier you're in, the better loot is dropped, and the harder the enemies are to kill. This is done to keep the game at a moderate challenge. Inversely, if you start dying a lot, or give the controller to your grandma, the world tier will actually drop, making the game easier for you. Unless your grandma is like a frickin' MLG Pub Stomp Pro. You can switch between the world tiers whenever you want, as long as you've previously unlocked it. So you can lower the tiers and switch from 4 to 2, but you can't up them from like 4 to 6, let's say. You have to unlock the tiers incrementally one at a time by naturally playing through the game. Earning XP also unlocks skill points, which can be used in a class skill tree. The tree itself branches out into 3 different subcategories, if you will, per class, leading to even more specific kinds of builds. But what's really cool is your ability to reset your tree at any time. Once you earn a point, you have it forever, so you can reset your tree whenever you want and use the skill points you've acquired to spec your character out differently. There are also these bridge nodes on the skill tree that will allow you to have sections of multiple subcategories simultaneously. You do have to keep the dots connecting, but there are ways to move horizontally up and down the tree for a more specialized build. Your character in Outriders has 3 weapon slots, 2 primaries and 1 secondary, as well as 5 armor slots. The maximum level in Outriders is 30, and like many other games, the colors of loot rarity are the same, with them starting at white, going to green, blue, purple, and then finally yellow. Blue, purple, and yellow drops will come with at least 1 mod, and these mods come in different tiers of rarity, marked by Roman numerals 1 through 3, with 3 being the best. Depending on the rarity, these mods will either be randomized or intrinsic. For example, Legendary Gear will have a guaranteed tier 3 mod and a second randomized one. Likewise, Legendary Gear grants extra perks if you're wearing multiple pieces of the same armor set, something I remember The Division did as well at one point. Outriders has over 300 mods available, and you can mix and match between them freely. So this can get a little confusing, but I'm going to try to explain it as straightforward as I can. If you dismantle a weapon, you'll get some usual parts, but the mods in that weapon will also be added to your catalog. And you can take those mods and add them to any other weapon in the game. Just keep in mind, when you add a mod to a weapon, the other mod slot on that weapon will lock, so it's going to be there forever. If you swap something in the secondary mod slot, let's say, the primary one will lock and vice versa. You can swap the mod in that one slot as many times as you want, but you can't swap mods on both slots. You have to live with one out of the 2 mods on any given weapon, so choose wisely. You can also raise the attributes, those being the damage or armor of any given weapon or gear piece, as well as its rarity. So if you have the materials available, you can turn a green into a blue and keep the same gear with you around for a while. On top of that, you can also change the weapon type of some guns, so like making a fully automatic weapon a burst fire or semi-auto. Now last but not least is the endgame in Outriders. In these kinds of games, the endgame is perhaps the most crucial element, because if it sucks, And apparently the whole game sucks. This is where so many people feel like they get their money's worth or not. Outriders Endgame consists of new missions called expeditions. These missions are unlocked when you beat the main story, making them completely unique to the endgame experience. There's a new world hub as well as 14 new missions that are exclusive endgame content. So yes, Outriders does not repeat its story missions in the endgame. You'll have 14 brand new missions to do that are exclusive to endgame when you beat the story. Expeditions have their own difficulty tiers that you have to move through incrementally. The tiers start at 3 and go all the way to 15, with 15 apparently being the ultimate challenge in the game. We don't know anything about Expedition 15 other than that. The mission itself does look to be placed at the heart of some big anomaly storm though. Expeditions are match-made activities, but you can play them solo, as far as I know, where you will try to complete the mission in the least amount of time possible. The faster you complete the expedition, the more rewards you get. All loot drops at the end of an expedition, so it's the only time where you don't have to worry about picking it up off the ground. And for the most part, that's the game, y'all. There's some other pieces of information I left out in this video that were small, but you'll see once the game comes out. Hopefully this video gave you a better idea of what Outriders is and if it's something you'd be interested in playing or not. I'm not planning on making a million videos on it. I don't want to bottleneck myself into any particular game, but I'll definitely cover it again when the beta comes out and then again at release with a full review. At this point, I'm just excited to get my hands on it. I want to see what this game is like to play. I don't feel like my looter shooter itch has really been satisfied in a long time, so let's hope Outriders delivers and is a game we all like playing. If you enjoyed this video, make sure to let me know by dropping a positive rating. For more content like this, make sure to subscribe. Go check out the community tab for the aforementioned poll, and let me know in the comments, what do you think about Outriders? Thanks so much for watching. I'll be back again soon talking about an older game, let's call it. And as always, I'll see you in the next one.